Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second edition of Quad Radio here in 2014 as we roll through the grassroots portion of our rebuild here to reignite Quad Radio USA. And our guest today, none other than one of the most accomplished ATV riders of all time, and that is none other than Mr. Digger Doug Gust. As we say, good afternoon and welcome to Doug Gust. Doug, I guess you're pretty busy, man. Staying busy as ever. What's going on today?
Yeah, Rodney, I'm busy working on the snowcross track as we speak here. I get it ready for a bunch of guys that come here and practice. Cody, Cam, and Ross Martin are two of the pros that come. And matter of fact, Cody Cam got second at the X Games this year, if you happen to catch it on TV. But yeah, busy with that. We've had a really cold winter, as sure as everybody has, but good for this business.
I'm sure it is, man. It makes not having to make snow a little more profitable that way, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I don't have to make as much because it's not melting. You know, it's staying, and Mother Nature's been nice to me this year. She gave us a lot of snow, so it's working out pretty good for me.
That's for sure, man. That's good to hear, and good to talk to you, Doug. I know we've seen you at a couple of ATV motocross races and even some GNCC stuff, and we'll get into all that in just a few moments. But I guess a lot of folks may be wondering, what has Digger Doug Gust been up to since he retired, I guess, after the 2009 season, if memory serves me correct?
Yes, 2010 I started crop dusting. Matter of fact, Walnut, Illinois, down there where we race, I met a guy that was crop dusting. I flew into one of the races one year there and seen him crop dust and said, man, that's something I want to do. And so I got a hold of the guy there. Bob helped me out from Walnut there, get a hold of the guy, and it just turned out good. I started working for him, and now I started my own business, and that's what I do. I crop dust in the summer, and last year, you probably see me at the Ironman GNCC. I got a side-by-side and getting into racing that a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that might be something that you're looking forward to doing a little more of in the future.
That's correct. You know, with age comes a cage. So,
yeah,
I definitely miss the ATVs, though, the four-wheelers. I wish I could still be out doing that again. You know, once in a while I get on mine. I still have one of my race spots, and I get out there and rip around on the track, and I feel pretty good. But the problem is I only can do 2 laps, and I'm tired, so I'm shape.
Hey, you know, one good thing about the vet classes and age classes and stuff like that in ATV motocross now, Doug, is they're only 4 laps, so you wouldn't have to do a whole lot of training.
Right. I was thinking of that. I might have to come do one of them and get a little training in and come do that. I have to do it early in the spring because I get really busy with my crop dusting season in the middle of the summer. So
Right. I understand that. Now let's talk about this. I said one of the most accomplished ATV racers of all time, and Doug, I mean, I look here at your resume. I mean, you were a Texas Arena Cross champion in '89. You were a national ATV champion in '90 and '92, and I think also '95. I mean, just an amazing list of things here. 1994, New Zealand ATV champion, Supercross Best Pairs champion. You had in 2000, you were third place in the ATV Motocross. You won the Winter Thunder Snowcross Championship, and you won another ATV Pro Championship in 2003, man. I mean, just looking at that particular resume, just up to 03, and there's still like another 6 or more years to look at. I mean, we're looking at 04 ATV National Championship. We got a WPSA National Championship. And even through the latter years of your career, man, you were still running a solid top 5. And if memory serves me correct, I mean, you'd reached into your 40s at that point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. I think I was 40 or 41 when I won that WPSA champion. And I had won some nationals at 40 or 41, I think it was. And I know Mr. Bird is trying to top that. He's working hard at that. So, but yeah, I had a long run of racing career here going, and there was some bumps in the road, but a lot of hard work and perseverance, and it kept me going. And matter of fact, I won just recently I won that Terracross championship up in Minnesota in 2012, and I won an Indiana Badlands race series there on the side-by-side in 2012 also. So
wow.
That's kind of been going good for me.
Sounds like it, man. Sounds like you I mean, even since your retirement, just diddly-dallying around, man, things have been going pretty good for you.
Yeah, it's been going all right. Now this year I didn't get to run the Terracross. I ended up breaking my collarbone training for it. So not on a four-wheeler, on a dirt bike though. So I got to run one of the races, and then in between, before the next round, I broke my collarbone, so it took me out of the series this year.
Wow, that really stinks. But Doug, I tell you, man, you had a fortunate thing going on as far as your career goes. Whenever you started really making a name for yourself there in the late 80s, I guess that, things were starting to, well, they were trying to come and dig out of that hole of the mid 80s crunch that we had with ATVs being such a bad thing, man. But I mean, you worked your way through that. And I mean, right into, I think, probably one of the biggest peaks that we've seen in the sport. And you can probably answer that better than anybody as far as, I mean, working with the factories and everything like that, Suzuki, and getting all the notoriety and recognition that you did as far as, going into a shop. Whenever you associate a Suzuki ATV, you think the 5.5, you think the 55, you think Doug Gust. I mean, you went through, I mean, it was a great time for you as far as your career is concerned.
Yes, it definitely was. I mean, I lived the dream. There's no doubt about it. I was a rock star for a while. When I started racing back in the 80s, I was looking at guys like Jimmy White, was sponsored by Kawasaki on three-wheeler. You had Marty Hart, and then you had guys like Gary Denton on the four-wheeler and Jeff Watts. There were guys that I looked up to and that had a factory ride, and I said, that's what I want to do. And I got into the four-wheelers, I believe, in 88 or 87, and I started running pro in 88, matter of fact, Loretta Lynn's in 89, and was running against Gary Denton. And but the factories got out then. It was right when I got in, they got out.
Wow.
So it was bad timing, but I stuck it out. And Tom Carlson from DC Racing built me a DRZ 400 four-wheeler in a Walsh chassis, and we ran that, and Suzuki noticed it back in 2000, and I started working with Suzuki and developing a quad, and well, the rest of it from there. So.
Pretty illustrious, though. I mean, you think about it. I mean, it was kind of a sideline hobby for you because you were an excavator by trade, right?
Correct. Back then there was, of course, the factories got out of it, and it really went to a low, and I wasn't making any money hardly racing. It was just for fun, I mean, I might get my expenses paid for, but that was it. And so, yeah, I had a full-time excavating business going on, and once I started working with Suzuki and they kept me really busy with all the developing and training and testing and dealer shows and stuff. I had to retire the business or shut it down because I was just gone too much.
Wow, that was a pretty good problem to have, I'd say, huh?
Yeah, that was a dream come true. And when I realized I'm starting to make more money doing the racing than excavating, it was time to pull the plug.
And there's not a lot of people, unfortunately, that can really say that. And I mean, there was an era there were several of you guys that were making some good change, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But I mean, you look at it now. I mean, there's been a lot of things going, and I think you rode the bubble full circle, if you really want to know the truth. And I mean, you got, well, maybe not full circle. I mean, yeah, you did, because you got in whenever it was good. And you rode it through the bad times, and you rode it through the good times, and you got back out right at the end of the good times, man. I mean, it couldn't have been a better career for you, I don't think.
No, you're definitely right. I definitely got lucky there. When I just wish it would come back for the guys. I mean, everybody's got that dream, and, all these youngsters are getting into it. Hopefully it turns back around and, it happens for them what happened to me, so. Right.
Talk a little bit about that right now, Doug. I mean, you were in a place where a lot of these guys are right now. I mean, they've had to basically invent themselves and reinvent the idea of how to come up with sponsorships and build programs and stuff, kind of like what you guys had to do whenever you were basically getting in it and on board ATV racing.
Yes, you know, you have to look outside the window here and try to find an outside sponsor that you would think has nothing to do with it. You know, something that's going to help support your program until the industry gets back on its feet again, going. You know, and I think things are turning around, but it's just going to take time.
Right.
You know, so you just got to go out there and look for outside the box. You know, look for something outside the box and try to get some help. And you know, what I did is I did everything I possibly could because I loved racing so bad to help support it, and it paid off for me in the long run. And I definitely had a great ride. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so if people are looking at it and they're saying, man, the great Doug Gust, he had it easy, he had this. There's one thing they got to realize, man. You're in the same boat as probably 95% of the guys that are lining up out there right now.
Yep, and I'll tell you a story real fast that happened to me when I first started racing four-wheelers. I bought a 1987 Suzuki LT250, and I went out to California because I was going to race. This is what I was going to do. I was going to race pro, and I had worked for my father in construction at the time, and we get slow in the winter, so I drove out to California. Everything I owned, my four-wheeler, my truck, I had a Toyota pickup truck, my gear, my tools, everything was in that truck. I turned 21 when I was out there, and that night I woke up the next morning and my truck and four-wheeler, everything was gone.
Oh, no.
In a motel. And I didn't have enough money to buy another four-wheeler, so I had to work that whole next summer to get enough money to save up for a four-wheeler to get started again, buy all my gear again and everything.
Wow.
Yep, so it was definitely a tough road. I have had some bumps on the way.
So these guys that are having problems, think about that, huh?
Right, and I didn't. The insurance company would not cover that four-wheeler that was in the back of the truck. They covered the truck, but not a four-wheeler, you know, so I lost that money on that. And,
wow.
You know, I had to work all summer to recoup that and catch back up.
Well, wow, that's pretty neat, man. I mean, that's pretty neat to think back to that. That was, what year you think that was, like 80s?
That was 87.
87, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now,
and then I went, you know what, that might have been 88, because in 89 then, the end of 88, I saved up enough money, and I think it was 89, I bought a Honda 250R then, and I went to Loretta's at the end of the year, and I raced Loretta Lynn's, and I remember it was it Ford. Davey Coombs ran it at the time, and he said, hey guys, it's way too muddy, you want to run on the side hill? And the pros were the only one that agreed, and he laid out a course on the side hill with banners, and we ran that, didn't even run the original track. And I remember coming out at a hole shot third and getting into the lead, passing Gary Denton, but then reality hit and I got tired and dropped back to fourth. But yes, it was there's a lot of good memories back then.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about next, man, because I mean, like I said, you went through some great eras, man. I mean, as far as the knowledge of ATV motocross, I mean, there's a handful of you guys that are out there that know the true history of motocross, and I mean, you're one of them, man. I mean, you were right there. Tell me a little bit about the era that you grew up through and some of the good times, man. I mean, there had to be some good times. I'm sure even you and Joe Bird were good friends at one time.
Oh yeah, we you know, there was actually I'd stay down at his house in the winter sometimes because the climate down there in Tennessee is a lot better than up here in Wisconsin in the winter. So
yeah, for sure.
I'd go down there and practice with them, and you know, we go to all his little sand tracks he had, and we got to go to some places. Japan, we went to twice and ran some kind of arena cross, and I forgot the name of the series, but I remember going there, flying there, and riding with Rick Johnson and Jeff Stanton, who were factory Honda motocross guys.
Wow.
You know, so we got to beat all them guys, and I mean, it was there was a lot of fun back then, but it wasn't that trip there was another deal where they paid for your expenses, but you weren't making money, and it was just an opportunity to go, you know.
Right. Which was a good opportunity. I mean, look at the
it
memories.
was a great opportunity. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, for sure. And I tell you, man, I mean, you gotta take your hat off to Joe. You mentioned Bird there a little bit ago, going after your record as trying to win as one of the oldest ATV pros out there. I mean, you got to take your hat off to old Bird, man, because I mean, he's got to be probably one of the greatest ambassadors this sport has ever seen. I mean, he has introduced ATV racing to the world in a way that not a lot of people or nobody that I have been able to see or tell in any way, shape, or form has done.
No, I agree with you. He has definitely done some things that nobody else has, and with his riding schools all over the world he goes. I mean, he definitely brings the sport up a level. You know what I'm saying? He definitely lifts it up.
Yeah.
He's so into it, and he still is. Matter of fact, I just was talking to him recently. He's getting his pilot's license. He's taking after me. He's about ready to take the test, I guess. So congratulations to him. And, even if I don't want him to beat my record, I wish him the best of luck. Right,
for sure. For sure. Now, with that being said, just real quick, give me one of your favorite, I mean, if somebody said of all time racing, what's one of your favorite stories from your ATV racing career?
I could tell you a favorite race, maybe. Stories, I don't know. I got a lot of them, and I don't know if I want to get into them. They might not want people to know about it. But, the sport, definitely when I got into it into the 80s, there was a few good guys, and then it kind of dwindled down. There was only a couple. And then towards the end, man, we had Dustin Wimmer, Josh Creamer, John Taylor, Chad Weenan. I mean, there's just a bunch of them that just haul and butt. And right at the end of my career, when I won that WPSA championship, me and Dustin Wimmer, it went down to the last race, and whoever won. And he got the whole shot on me, and it took me till like 3 laps to go to pass him, and he passed me back, and I passed him again. That was like the most memorable race, and I was old enough to be his father. He was like 19 and I was 40 or something. So, that's my story there, I guess. And then me and Dustin got on the same team as me and everything, and of course started whooping my butt. But
well, you got the championship on him that time, anyway.
Yep. But I'll tell you, just watching these guys now, from when I was in it, they totally picked up the pace, and their equipment's a little better, it seems like, and they're just, man, they're hauling butt. It's impressive what they can do on a four-wheeler.
Just out of curiosity, your opinion on what's coming up next year. There's a little bit of a format change as far as the motos are only going to be like 15 minutes, and I think that's going to even the playing field quite a bit for those riders out there. I mean, Chad's fast, but he's really going to have to go to work real quick now, man. I mean, I think it's going to open the field up for a lot more different winners possibly this year. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm always the one that takes me 10, 15 minutes to get going, so I wouldn't like that, but these other guys that have to work more and don't get the opportunity to train as much, it's going to benefit them, and it's definitely going to make it more interesting, just like you said.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And one other thing, we talked about it a few moments ago. You raced the Ironman. With age comes cage, the side-by-side UTVs. I'd heard a rumor that there's a good possibility that Digger Doug may be running maybe the GNCC series next year in side-by-side racing. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I was talking to a team, and things just didn't work out. I thought it was going to work out for us, but it didn't happen, so probably not this year, but maybe I can get something going for the following year.
Man, that would be awesome, Doug, just to have you around. Hopefully you'll come out to a few ATV Motocross, maybe in a few GNCC, and check things out this year, and we'll get a meet and greet with you again, man.
Sounds good. It was really nice talking to you.
You too. Doug Gust, everybody, and I just want to say thanks to Doug for being on board with us today. That, again, is Doug Gust. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and this is Quad Radio.